Welcome to Game Set Matchup, the podcast where we talk everything partnerships, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hello everyone, I'm Carl Busby, your host of Game Set Matchup, #1 partnerships podcast, and we're back with another episode. So today I caught up with Jon Hart, who is the API Partnerships Director at Moneyhub. So Jon has been working at Moneyhub for almost 8 years in different roles and is now responsible as an API Partnerships Director, helping to build Moneyhub's API value proposition. Moneyhub is able to work with lots of different financial institutions and by leveraging their financial data sets, help businesses to understand their customer better and therefore engage and get a better return from them. As usual, we discuss what a Gold Star partnership looks like for Moneyhub, the sectors they are focusing on in building those partnerships, and how they make sure both parties are getting a return out of it. We discuss what some of the core components are for building a long-term partnership with a new business, and also some tips and advice for anyone out there looking to get into the partnership space. As always, remember you can find out more about Findr and how we are helping businesses to secure discovery calls with vet decision makers by hitting the links in the description. Enjoy this week's episode. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Game Set Matchup. So this is the podcast where we discuss all things partnerships. Maybe you are new to the partnerships world, looking for a bit of advice how to get started, or you might be a bit of an experienced pro, just looking for a bit of inspiration or direction. So we thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Carl Busby, and please welcome our guest today. So we have Jon Hart, who is the API Partnerships Director at Moneyhub. Hello and welcome, Jon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on and being a guest. Just to start us off, as always, we'd like to just get a bit of a introduction to yourself. So if you wouldn't mind just telling the listeners a little bit more, about just a bit about yourself, maybe a bit about your sort of background and how you've, led to getting to your current role at Moneyhub, and then maybe just also a little bit just about what Moneyhub actually is like. What is it? What are they? What do they do?
Yeah, absolutely, no problem at all. Yeah, so I'm the API Partnerships Director at Moneyhub. So I work with our clients and with our prospects to understand ultimately the challenges they're trying to solve for their customers, the challenges they're trying to solve internally, and how the Moneyhub platform can best help support them. So Moneyhub is a financial aggregation and data insights platform. We aggregate open banking data, so we can connect your bank accounts, credit cards, loans, mortgages, investments, pensions, properties, anything that makes you financially can all be connected into one place. And then we can analyze that data and surface hints, tips, and insights into how you might want to manage your finances better. So we provide that as an app to end consumers through the App Store. You can go and download that today. But we also work with other businesses, so banks, insurance companies, pension providers, who can offer those services to their customers. Mm-hmm. And I work with the banks and building societies and insurers to really kind of hone down on what parts of the platform they want to use to deliver products and services to their customers. So that's the Moneyhub platform. We're open banking, open finance, open data platform, really kind of aggregating as many of those different data sources into one place and then generating insights off of the back of it. And that really is then when the role of the partnerships comes in, because there are so many data sources out there. We can't, be curating all of those data sources, or we can't be connecting to all of those data sources or generating the insights, across all of that breadth of different connectivity. So we use partners and partnerships to really kind of leverage the amazing other companies out there to curate the insights and curate the connectivity for our clients so that they can then deliver something valuable to their customers.
Yeah, no, it sounds amazing. So you said it just sounds like you said that there's loads of these sort of was it sort of data sources? I think you said in terms of that you can sort of reach, and you just said as well that there's sort of loads. I guess you said there's sort of more sort of out there. So how do you sort of like, I guess, choose which ones you use, so to speak? So just like thinking like how do you prioritize? I guess which ones do you feel are like the most sort of priority for other businesses or partners that might want to use?
Yeah, so it's all about what creates value. That is the key to it. Really is if we're building out a partnership, it has to deliver value to our clients. It has to deliver value to the end customer.
Yeah.
And that value creation has to be fairly mutual as well.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing, is that when you're delivering or creating these partnerships, there has to be that kind of tangible increase in value. And preferably something that we, couldn't do ourselves. And or don't want to, or don't have the expertise to do ourselves. And so that's when we look at those partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be a mutual value of partnership.
Yeah. No, that makes sort of sense. Just sort of staying on the theme of sort of partnerships, with sort of Moneyhub, and like you said, you did a bit kind of looking after in terms of this API. What would you say, a sort of gold star partnership would look like for Moneyhub and another sort of partner and business? So like, is there anything particular that you sort of look for, when you're looking to sort of partner with them, things that you go through before you sort of do that? And then, do you have like a certain things that have to be sort of like ticked off before you agree a sort of a partnership with another company? Just be interested to get insights, like what for you sort of would make a sort of really good sort of gold star partnership.
I think we're incredibly fortunate at the moment in the UK, and especially in the fintech scene, with the quality and the breadth of amazing different propositions, products and companies that are out there. So it's amazing working with like-minded people, like-minded companies who have that mission to deliver something useful and valuable to end customers. I think that, the alignment in that mission, I think is absolutely critical to a gold star partnership.
Yeah.
And so when I'm working with our partners, both the banks, the big insurers, and those kind of tier one massive providers, I'm looking at how we can work with them to generate that value. But then that's also being reflected down into when we're working with the smaller fintechs and startups and those people who are doing some really amazing, cool, innovative products and solutions.
Yeah.
And there's got to be that kind of look up and down to see, okay, well, if our big clients are trying to deliver this to their customers, then actually how can the fintechs and the startups help deliver that mission? I think that's then when this amazing partnership kind of synergy comes in, where it's delivering value to my relationship with the bank, but also it's helping them get that distribution and get that kind of usage of their product as well.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think, like you said, we do something that comes up quite a bit in terms of, like I said, making sure that both businesses are aligned exactly on what they're going to be both getting out of it. So there's no surprises down the track. One of the things we also do like to ask around, just again, keeping on the theme of partnerships. We all know that partnerships are great for businesses, and I think on the whole, they usually work for most people, but there are obviously times where maybe things don't quite go according to plan, or maybe there's challenges that come through for that. So again, not having to name any names, but just be interesting to know, maybe there's a time where you've tried to, or as a business, enter into a particular partnership, and then it hasn't gone so well. Like what was the issue? What was that challenge that you sort of faced, and did you manage to overcome it and continue with it, or was it a case of it had to just stop there and cut your losses type thing and move on to the next one?
Yeah, so I think it's effectively the opposite of what I've just said, where actually we weren't aligned on value, we weren't aligned on the purpose and the mission of that partnership, and we weren't aligned on value. I think it was the biggest problem. So we've had partnerships in the past where people have, companies have just wanted an open banking. They've just wanted to tick a box. It might be for kind of tender or RFP purposes. It might be to say that they've got a particular piece of functionality. It might be because they're going for funding and they want to increase the number of contracts they have signed, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But there's that misalignment of value, and it's not that we want to deliver value to customers together. It's not that we've got a specific mission for a client. It was because they wanted to have a partnership and didn't then kind of fulfill their end of the bargain ultimately. And I think that's really where the challenge lay in creating great partnerships, is to make sure that you're aligned on what you're trying to achieve, but also those roles are shared equally as well. And I think that's the other problem, is sometimes, you can be too dependent on the partner and they don't then put in the effort, they don't put in the work, the commitment, the investment to actually really make that partnership fly. And so, we have had examples of that. Some of them have been rectified. It's just a case of realigning internally, really kind of reselling the value and, kind of reiterating to the senior stakeholders why we're doing this partnership, what the value is in it for them, and what they have to do to make it work. And we have had partnerships that haven't got off the ground. And it's because, they just were not entered into in the same kind of vein that we were going into it.
That makes sense. I think it's just sort of good to know that, like I said, even though you do have faced challenges, certain things, it doesn't mean that it's going to fall flat. You've been able to rectify and obviously get things over the line, which is good. But I think, as I said, there are times when you do just have to say yes, it's not going to work, or park it for another time.
I think another one of the problems is often that the people that you're kind of working with when creating that partnership are not the people who are then doing the work to get the partnership running. It gets handed off to a different team. It's someone else's responsibility to deliver it. And they've got their own priorities. They've got their own responsibilities, KPIs to hit, whatever it is. And so it's always important to make sure that when you do get that kind of partnership agreed and signed, you have a really similar kind of handover implementation type plan for a partnership as you would do for a client. So when we sign a new client, we have an implementation process. We have something that goes, right, this is how you get from sales to implementation to customer success and BAU. And you need a really similar framework for doing that with a partnership, because it's not going to be the guy that you've shaken hands with, to get the partnership agreed. It's going to be someone else who's responsible for delivering that, and it's important to make sure that everyone is aligned across that chain.
I think that's quite an important point. Like you said, it's the deal can be struck with one person, but then it's teams that have got to realize and put everything together. Just moving on. At Findr, we are all about championing creating partnerships with new businesses, getting business to be able to have conversations with companies that they may not necessarily have had the opportunity to, which is why we have we have the platform. It's always interesting to just know from other businesses how you guys are going about looking for new business, essentially. So you may have like some big clients, or so you might have some sort of projects that are sort of ongoing, and those are keep you going, so to speak, for a while. But at some point, people are always looking for new business and to try and sort of grow. So maybe this is not specifically your remit in terms of like Zippo, but I'm sure you will liaise with other teams or know from other teams like how they're sort of going about trying to create new business for Moneyhub.
So obviously new business is absolutely paramount. It's the lifeblood of any scale up kind of company. Is you need to keep on winning that new business. And we have a range of different ways that we approach that. Obviously you have your standard kind of business development kind of team, and they are off super busy running around seeing people and all of that fun stuff. We actually have a whole team, a whole division within Moneyhub for partnerships, and they are working across a range of different kind of either strategic clients within Moneyhub, where we're looking at how we can grow those accounts and work deeper within certain accounts. Obviously, if you've got massive corporations and massive businesses, you're only ever working in one small part of that. So how can you leverage your partnerships within that institution to grow and to be introduced to other areas to demonstrate where you can deliver value. But also we're working quite closely with a lot of the consultancy firms as well. So we've been aggregating data, using data and insights to deliver customer experiences for 10 plus years now. So we have amassed this expertise in how you can leverage that data. And so again, in the kind of partnership fashion of working with consultants, we can actually work with the consultants to deliver our expertise as the value to them so that they can then provide consultancy services and help other large financial institutions understand actually how they can start to deliver customer-centric, data-driven solutions to their customers. So again, it's not just building an ecosystem of partners around us for us to deliver more value to our clients, but actually we are feeding into the value of consultancies and firms like that, where they're trying to deliver more value to their customers as well. So the way and the dynamic of our partnerships has changed and evolved over the years as the company has changed and evolved as well.
That makes sense. It sounds like you got a good process kind of in place with the different teams, and I think having a partnerships team itself on board and doing that sort of stuff is very handy. I think there's a lot of companies out there which don't actually have dedicated partnerships in, I suppose, or they're looking to try and grow them. So that's really, really good. And then so just with your kind of experience, we do like to sort of ask guests to just maybe, like I said, maybe some tips or advice around what you would say to your sort of younger self, sort of starting out in this field. It doesn't have to specifically be maybe Moneyhub, could be maybe something obviously previous that you've done, but people that are sort of listening that maybe thinking about getting into like the sort of financial sort of payment space or the partnership sort of space. There's probably a few things I'm sure you've picked up along the way which have sort of helped, but any maybe just one or two sort of things that you would sort of say that would help somebody on that journey.
I think first and foremost is in the do's column, speak to everyone, be interested. There are some amazing people out there, some super, super bright people, really clever, doing some incredible things. And actually understanding what they're doing, how they're going about it is an amazing, first and foremost is just incredible to speak to these people and incredibly interesting. But the more people you speak to, the more you'll understand how these pieces could fit together, the more connections you'll make in your head about, they're doing something really cool over there. And then you're speaking to someone else going, they've got this problem that they're trying to solve. How about I try and make those two connections? And it might not even start off as a formal partnership. It might just start off as a conversation. It might start off as a bit of an introduction. But once you've created that understanding of, okay, actually we're starting to make these connections here, actually that then could be the genesis of a partnership. We've got some amazing clients and some amazing partners within Moneyhub's ecosystem that do some incredible things. The ones that jump to mind are things like carbon footprinting, right? So you've got as an individual, you go through life, you spend your money, you save for your pension, you do all of these things and don't necessarily have a tangible carbon footprint. And there are some amazing companies out there. Just to name drop a few, you've got kind of Connect Earth and Kogo, and also Sugi Earth as well. And they take your financial data, be it your spending habits, or even with Sugi, they do your investments and pensions, so where your money is invested, and they calculate the carbon footprint of that, right? And I think that as a geek, that is really, really interesting to me, right? I've got, I love to understand and know how these things work, but also I know that I have a carbon footprint and, what I do for the environment. So I was super interested when I met those guys. And then you start speaking to the banks and they're thinking about, okay, well, how do we engage our clients in X, Y, and Z? How do we create, a specific experience for them? Or how do we kind of get them talking in a way that, we haven't done with them before?
Yeah.
And then you start connecting those dots. You go, well, actually, have you thought about introducing, some carbon footprint information? And so people can see what their spending habits are doing and how they might want to reduce their carbon footprint. or even more importantly, actually, where your investments and pensions are held, because the carbon impact of that is a lot greater than your day-to-day spending. So how about you start to engage people with that? And so then the bank's thinking, oh, that's really interesting, because we've got this new kind of angle that we can put on it, and we can demonstrate our commitment to sustainability, and we can deliver something really amazing for our customers. And so you're connecting these two kind of distinct data points, right, of just an amazing proposition with a bank with millions of customers. You're kind of forging those gaps. And so it's about taking those really cool propositions and going, actually, I think there's a way we could use this to deliver value to end customers ultimately.
No, I think that's amazing. I mean, I think it's good advice you said about just talking to everyone and just soaking everything up, and then like you said, if you can see where potentially we could talk to each other, I think that's really good.
Exactly. And then just to kind of fill out the don'ts column.
Oh yeah.
Right. Don't do all the running. Right. If you find yourself doing all of the running, you are not in a partnership. Right. And I think that's the important thing is if you find yourself being the one who's doing all of the heavy lifting, putting in all of the work, and your partner has got no skin in the game, that is not a partnership. And actually, you really need to reassess the dynamics of that and making sure that the partnership is equal, mutual, and beneficial to both parties. And it's too easy, especially when you're starting out. If you're in a startup, if you're just trying to get off the ground, it is way too easy to fall into that trap of going, I need to do everything to prove that I can get that partnership going. And it's not, you're just, if they don't have any skin in the game, they've got no commitment to it, there's no reason for them to be invested in it. So make sure you're getting that buy-in from them as well. And then you can then build upon sturdy foundations to create successful partnerships.
No, I think that's some really, really brilliant advice there. And then just moving on to just our final question. So, and maybe alluded to some of this a little bit before, talking about the carbon footprint and stuff, but just always interested to get guest sort of ideas, what they sort of think the future holds, for sort of business and just in the partnership space. Had massive changes over the last sort of 5 or 6 years. I think obviously COVID is now like sort of in a distant past, but people seem to forget, that literally transformed the way everyone was essentially sort of doing business in that time. I know everyone is AI is the big buzzword at the moment in terms of how it's going to be seeping into different businesses and how it's going to sort of affect things. But just be interested to get just your take on what you think the sort of future sort of holds in terms of how we might be doing things a bit differently, the different tools we're using. Just interested to get your take on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the future of partnerships is obviously bright. I think that with more and more firms being API first, or at least having an architecture that really supports APIs, I think that is just only going to grow. We've built this, our platform to be able to ingest and consume data, which is how we're providing our ecosystem of partners. And the big financial service providers in our world are starting to look at partnerships as well. They're starting to be a lot more open to working with third parties rather than have this, we're a bank, we can build it all ourselves, and having very high walls. They're actually a lot more open to working in collaboration with partners. So that I think is massive, and that's only going to get bigger and better as they start to not only have the technology that can support that, but also the procurement and onboarding that can support working with smaller firms as well, in more of a partnership model. I think AI is also a super interesting kind of recent development in terms of the recent explosion in awareness and the buzzword of AI. In Moneyhub, we've been using AI for years and years. It's just a way of processing huge amounts of data to generate insights. So it's not necessarily Gen AI, kind of the chatbots and stuff like that. It is, how can we analyze someone's financial situation? How can we analyze someone's transactions? How can we understand that person as an individual to identify the next best steps? And so having that explosion in AI in terms of it being a lot more prevalent in today's society and a lot more people using it, all it does is it makes large amounts of data easier to process. Yeah. And if you can process the data, you can understand the data, you can know which partners are going to be best for that data. And actually understanding the data helps you understand the partnerships you need and helps you procure the most successful partnerships.
Yeah, no, that's I said, super interesting. In fact, so you've been using AI for quite a long time anyway. Like I said, I mean, obviously I agree. I think, is the whole partnership space seems to be, a lot more sort of well known. I said more businesses are looking at it. And like you said, the bigger financial institutions, opening up a bit and, not being so closed off, which they, have been for a long time is, it's obviously very, very positive. So fingers crossed it will just continue, hope to continue, on that path. Look, so it's been great catching up. Obviously, we've come to the end. I mean, we could probably talk for a lot longer, but like I said, really appreciate you, just spending the time to come and talk to us at Findr. And just good luck with everything that you're doing at Moneyhub.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Thanks for joining this week's Game Set Matchup. Tune in to hear more about the need to knows and the do's and don'ts when it comes to creating successful business partnerships.